And so you can see some are from Rett syndrome and autism in general, 18 different ones. There are 4 that are done with the 2 hands. These are done with just 1 hand. Parkinson, we look at tremor, Huntington, chorea, and then just aggression in general, throwing, slamming, and punching. And then normal movements are just resting. This is important, and as you will see, we use these to understand the sensors. And then writing, typing, texting, eating with a hand or with a knife and fork, combing hair and teeth, toothbrushing. So this is some of the details. Importantly, we use an accelerometer and inertial movement unit, IMU, that comes with lots of goodies. We have a low noise accelerometer, wide range accelerometer, gyroscope, magnetometer, and a number of derived quantities from the accelerometer. And this is it's a research grade IMU. We have one on the dominant hand, one on the non-dominant hand. We also use an Apple Watch on the non-dominant hand and a ring that also has a few sensors. Basically, people will not go with the $800 research grade accelerometer and go about their life, an Apple Watch. So we want to understand the sensors that you could use in the lab, but also the sensors that you will most likely use in the clinic. So, but the data I'm going to show you is from this high-grade research IMU. So we use a deep learning neural network, and some of the details are here. We separate into training, validation, and test set. We chop the data in 2-second windows so we can feed it to the neural network. The accuracy was high. I mean, it's really, really high all the way. So we know we can recognize basically all those gestures, training an algorithm to look at all those different gestures. They are very different, and there's no problem recognizing them. So that was something that we found 2 years ago. From the beginning, this was a success. So now we're asking other more detailed questions. The first thing that happened is, I want more data. For me, more data is better than less data. And so I always told my group I want the highest frequency, 1,000 hertz. Yeah, let's do it. And they're, no, you don't need so much. Humans will never give you anything that's important that you need 1,000 hertz to pick up. So we say, okay, let's do 400 hertz. I couldn't go lower than 400. It just made no sense to me. More data is better. So finally, they insisted, because we collect so much data, then it takes a long time to upload and process, so they keep insisting. So I said, well, let's downsample what we have and see where the accuracy goes down. I was sure it will go down. So we went down from 400, 200, 150, and accuracy got better. I was like, that makes no sense. And if anything, you lose signal. Well, no. If anything, in 400 hertz, you add noise. And so it's not that the signal to noise ratio go much worse with 400. It just takes longer to train the algorithm for the same accuracy. So it looked like it got worse. So finally, we have a physicist in the group, and he insisted in doing the right thing. Downsampling is not the right thing. Well, the right thing is to actually analyze the power at each frequency. So in green, you see the resting period. So if you were paying attention, I told you there was a resting period where we are doing nothing, and the sensors are still giving you signal, and that's all noise. So the green shows you the noise, and you can see this is the same for these two behaviors is the same. So this is the background noise, and you want to be above the noise to show a signal. And this is tremor, and this is tremor that we simulate In Parkinson, you have a 6 hertz tremor. We were doing something similar, but of course, we don't know if that's exactly what the Parkinsonian patient will do, but not terribly dissimilar. It doesn't pick up, it doesn't come out at a very clean signal frequency, but at least it tells you that about here, there's no reason to go above 40, 50 hertz. There's no signal for tremor, for eating, and we did all the behaviors. You basically can pick up with less than 50 hertz. So now we are going to capture data at 50 hertz. I was wrong. And this is confusion matrices that we've done with a 50 hertz downsampling. So these are all the behaviors that I showed you before. This is the observed, what we did, and this is the predicted, what the algorithm predicts each test sample to be. And these are the two accelerometers, and you can see it's a very nice diagonal, very high accuracy, AUC. This is a gyroscope, it makes one mistake. These are two resting periods. So the gyroscope cannot tell if you have your hand on the table or on your lap. Yes, 5 minutes. And this is the magnetometer. It's a disaster, apart from when you have the magnetometer on your non-dominant and your slam, your dominant hand, the magnetometer knows. But we don't know. I mean, we had electronics on both hands, so there's something there. So it's probably nothing terribly important that won't be published in Science. It was just funny to see. And I think that's basically my last. So what we want to do with this is close the loop. We want to have a way to quantify behavior and pathology at home, day to day, and make sure that that data can be used in the clinic to see if patients are getting better by monitoring more frequently and in the normal situation, and not just once every 6 months or every year in the clinic. And that's it. Thank you.
So question, so you said that you complement this kind of measurement also with some standard thing that we all have, like I don't know, iPhone, iWatch.
Yeah, the Fitbits and Apple Watch, we use them.
Okay, how much you lose using only iWatch and iPhone, say, with respect to the sparkling?
I think there are two aspects to it. One is a practical aspect. If you want to get accelerometer from a Fitbit, you can't. So you are stuck with some steps measured that they don't tell you the algorithm. So you have to trust that whatever they do with accelerometer data, it's useful. Hopefully one day they will start releasing activity or raw data. From the Apple Watch,
you mean that the accelerometer cannot be accessed directly with the Apple?
The Fitbit, no. Okay. And the Apple, yes, you can run an app that will grab the accelerometer and send it to you. The problem with the Apple Watch is that you can only run one app at a time. So if you turn to your email, then you can't access your accelerometer. So that's, unless Apple gives you permission to run in the background, you can't. So this is very practical things that what can you do with these devices of a big company that is not particularly interested in giving you access. The research grade, that's what they do. They give you access to whatever you want. So it's always the search for the perfect device. It's difficult. There are some better devices. They're very expensive because the market is very small. So that's a big thing. The other thing is that you do get things, for example, sleep. Fitbit and Apple Watch will give you, and then you can do your own sleep analysis. And that's something that we are doing. The accuracy is not the best, but the question is it good enough to do something in the clinic? if say picking up sleep is 75% accurate, but then you have false negatives, false negatives, you actually say, oh, you're sleeping but you're awake, or you're awake. You have to see the sensitivity and specificity for your own research question and decide whether the sensor is giving you something that is good enough. When it's research grade, you can fix it, because you get the raw data and you can develop your own algorithms. When you are sticking, with the market, then you have to see how much you can do with their algorithms and how much of the more rawish data they are giving you.
But also the other way around. I mean, they have a massive amount of data of millions of persons, from which they can figure out a lot of stylized behavioral activity during the day.
Well, so the amount of data is not a problem anymore. I think, big data is big data, and if you're collecting raw accelerometer data for 2 years, yeah, that's a lot.
Not me.
Yeah.
The Apple knows everything about what I'm doing.
Yes.
But I mean, up to a degree that I was not suspecting. I mean, I never thought how much after.
Well, well, they do other things that are worse. I mean, if they know if.
This is an aspect I never thought about.
Yes, I don't think they're doing this, but yeah, eventually they can do it for sure. I think the question is access to data that is well curated for research. That's the real problem for researchers. Everybody is collecting these, but there is no data model there is no standardized data model, data dictionary for wearables. And so that's a big effort before this explodes further. Let's make sure that we have a consensus on how to call the data, and so then we can share it. So I can share my data on autism with other people doing similar research. So that's right now the big problem. But yeah, I mean, they know everything about everybody. So.
So actually, I have a question. Well, aside from the fact that I'm shocked that anybody can do something at 100 hertz that is measurable by a wearable, actually, but I'm extremely slow. Okay. Well, no, but my question is this. I'm not sure this is an important thing for the market, and maybe it is. Can you actually know something about suicidal people who are not showing any schizophrenia or any?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a very difficult problem, because suicide is extremely rare. Something like 0.01% of a normal sample will give you the data. So research on suicide is very difficult. You have to have a population that is already a high risk. Even there, it could be 1-3%. So if you collect 500 persons at risk, you may have one suicide in 1 year. So the data is very hard. We do know that these wearables can be used to quantify factors, risk factors. For example, if I'm very active in the morning, afternoon, and then one day I'm not active anymore, there's a big change in my activity pattern, that is a risk factor. If you are on social media, connecting, one day you stop connecting, that's a risk factor.
You mean that is known from the
Yes.
literature that it's a risk factor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if one were to quantify all these different risk factors and combine them, maybe you have some predictive power. The issue is, and then what? Do you know what to do? Because, you're going to go to a person, oh, you're going to commit suicide tomorrow. It's like, no, I just have a headache. And then, so the problem there is not only the predictability and the sampling, et cetera, and then what you do. If you're going to treat people well, if when they go to a clinic, they are asked, are you depressed? Have you been thinking about suicide? And they say, yes, okay, go and see the therapist. Then let's just do it. So there's an issue. I mean, we work on the suicide question for like 3 years, and my answer was like, people just need to take care of their patients and talk to them and do the right thing. We can spend millions of dollars looking for the tiny information amount, and then we still don't have a plan of action. So the plan of action is more important than actual information.
Thank you so much.
Yep.